Hey Ottawa, this is Annalee Rice with Royal LePage Performance Realty in Ottawa, Ontario with your weekly update of the Ottawa real estate market. This is from March 6, 2023. Citywide, we see that the number of active listings at the end of the week is up, but only slightly. It's only up by 15. Of note, this is actually brings us back to the same level that we had in mid-January. We've been lower than that and throughout most of February. Throughout all of February. What we did see was a huge or significant jump in the number of properties that were listed this week. There were 354 new properties listed this week, and 273 of those were new listings. That's about 80% of that. And then the other 20% were properties that were relisted. So with about 100 more properties listed this week over last week, but only 15 more active listings at the end of the week, you can guess it, there were way more sales this week. Sales volume was up by about 25% over last week, which is 46 properties. Of the 185 homes that sold this week, 21% of them sold within 7 days of being listed, and 59% of them sold within 30 days of being listed. The percentage of homes selling with zero conditions was increased again this week, and it went up to about 25% this week. Okay, so now let's zoom in to the different areas of the city. First off, in the central urban region, we don't see a whole lot of difference in the number of active listings across the property types, but we do see an increase in all the property type sales. Most notably, we see that the condominium sales jumped back up close to that 40 properties per week listing, which was what it was at for most of February, but last week was a low week down in the high 20s. In Canada and Stittsville, we see a bit of an increase in all of the property types for the number of active listings, but the sales didn't really increase a whole lot this week. Last week there were more sales, and basically they just held this week. In Barrhaven and Riverside South, there were not a huge difference in the number of active listings or the number of sales. But the one thing I would note is that even though it doesn't look significant, the number of sales of condominiums of 6 this week was actually 100% increase over last week. When there's only 23 condominiums listed in the whole area and 6 of them sell, that's pretty significant. And finally, when we get to Orleans, we see a drop in the number of active listings across property types in the area, but it was basically because there were more sales this week in all property types. As always, I've got the full stats in table form, but I did want to point out a couple of things that you see on these tables that you don't see in the different slides. So first off, what you see is that I've also, instead of including just the active and the sold properties and those prices, you can actually see the number of properties that are conditionally sold each week too. So it can give you an idea of how many properties might switch all the way to sold the next week, or also if we continue in a trend of less homes selling conditionally, we'll start seeing that number start decreasing, but the sales numbers increasing. The second thing that I wanted to point out was the cumulative days on market. That's the CDOM that you see beside active and sold. And as we are starting to see places sell quicker, we're starting to see those numbers coming down. It's more so in the sold side, but a little bit trending in the active. There are still a lot of properties that are sitting unsold on the market for a long period of time. And so that CDOM for active is still remaining quite high. To make sure you get notified of these weekly updates, please follow me on Instagram or follow me on YouTube at Your Ottawa Realtor. I hope you have a great week.